This is the It's Time to Refresh podcast with Brad Refresh, the podcast about life, music, traveling, shit, literal shit that is, and weird and wacky stories with Brad, and a range of guests from the planet Earth. Feel free to share the pod with your pals, your mom, your neighbor's dog, or even your shrink. It's all fun. You can follow our Facebook group called It's Time to Refresh Community, or It's Time to Refresh on Instagram. Write into the pod, ask questions, and share your stories. Enjoy the pod.
Hey kid, what time is that?
It's time to refresh.
All right, back once again with another podcast. This is actually take 2 because the camera failed on me, so a little bit embarrassing, but it is what it is, I'm afraid. On this episode, we've got Kenny HAYES, aka KB Project, aka Starman, aka Blue Sphere, aka every alias you could imagine. So he's a producer. Now DJ for the last, what, seven years you've been sort of back in the scene, is it?
Yeah, as far as Bounce is concerned, I've been DJing since the early 90s.
Right. Sorry about that. That wasn't like a thing at all, but it's on. You've only sort of came out of the studio in that time,
Yes,
isn't
yeah.
And so many different accolades and everything you've done over time within trance, house, chill out, bounce, EDM.
Yeah. Bit of everything.
It all goes on and on. We could just talk about this all day in itself, but how we doing, mate? You all right?
I'm good, keeping busy.
Right, I'm going to pretend I didn't ask you about last night. So how was Pier on the Pier? Was it good?
Oh, amazing. The atmosphere at Pier is probably one of the best ones of the year from all the events that go on.
Absolutely.
And it's like we've never been away. The crowd absolutely were on point the whole time we were there. It was great atmosphere.
What time were you on?
We went on at 10 to 10. We were doing a KB Project showcase.
Right.
So it was basically a collection of our more well-known remixes and productions interlaced with Nikki singing 2 tracks live.
Right. You go down well?
Amazingly well, yeah.
Honestly, Pier on the Pier, it looked really good. Shame I couldn't go, but it is what it is. To some people within the scene, it is like Christmas Day. Like, I've seen the build-up this week when it got to like Thursday, saying, "Oh my God, like one more sleep to go." So it is quite a big thing.
Definitely.
I just want to get into this by briefly asking you your history, and then we'll because there's so much I want to talk about, and I know you've covered it on other podcasts. So give us a brief history on Kenny HAYES.
Brief history.
Yeah.
Well, in the early 90s, after I left school, I ended up in a music shop and in the high-tech department, so I was learning all keyboards, drum machines, sequencers, the basis of what I wanted to get into.
Right.
Because I've always wanted to be a remixer since leaving school. So that set things off. I joined a couple of bands. By the mid-90s, actually slightly early 90s, I got asked to join Too Funky 2.
Right.
Who did Brothers and Sisters.
Great tune.
And I was with them for a couple of years, and then I went through a patch where I was on the dole for about a year, and then ended up getting a job again, and then Pawn Kings asked me to be part of their band. Then I got together with a writer from Manchester for the Cleopatra project. So I did that, and so in 1997 I had a number 3 hit with Amor with Pawn Kings, and a 17 with the Pawn Kings, and number 3 with Cleopatra. So that's
a
the
little
90s.
bit of nostalgia for me, that Cleopatra.
Yeah, I know. I was a writer, not a producer then.
Oh, yeah.
So we wrote 7 songs on their album, first
Right.
album, and on the second album, which did nothing, we co-wrote and produced 1 track on it. But most of the tracks were produced by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, who are like big American producers. So that was good. And then I joined All Around the World in 1998 and worked for them for 19 years. And
yeah, we did a track together in All Around the World.
we did, yeah. The studio originally was over the top of a music shop.
Right.
And then it moved to near the university, and I had a bigger room and more space. But
it was in Blackburn, wasn't it?
It was,
I thought so.
Yeah.
It's just, I remember going to it. I just can't remember what was going on.
Oh, it was amazing. The atmosphere then was fantastic. We had like people coming in every day, Ultra Beat, and all the other, Hypersonic, Entrance, Flip and Fill. They were in all the time.
So when you went to work there, who was in the studios at the time?
Well, there's two studios. Well, when we first started, there was 3 studios. There was Pete Gill from Love Decade,
right?
Me in the next studio to him, and in the main studio, Lee Monteverdi, who's part of LMC.
Right. Yes.
Who has had an amazing career himself as an engineer over the years.
Yeah.
And then Pete left after a year, and it was just the 2 of us. And when we moved to the new building, they built 2 purpose-built studios for that.
Right, so then your journey of all around the world, when it was happening, it was just like they'd come in and say, right, we've signed this record, Kenny, do a remix or do what? It might even produce the track.
It was basically that. Initially, Lee was a producer and a remixer, so he was making records and remixing them, where I was primarily just a remixer.
Right.
So every single project that came through the studio, whether it be, a new house signing or a pop signing, they'd give me a chance to do a remix. And most of the remixes I tried to make them not sound like the original.
Yeah. We've heard enough of your remixes to know that is the case. I just want to ask you, obviously in all your time and all around the world, they had a bit of a reputation for ripping off tunes. Like that's what they did, didn't they? They did what was it, Sweet Child of Mine, stuff like that, right? I just want to ask you, what was the best tune that you remixed and the worst tune?
Through my time all around the world.
We won't say best and worst, we'll say least favourite.
Right, yeah.
Doesn't sound as bad.
I think best is hard because I remixed so many tunes. Just as KB Project with Ben, we remixed over 250 records.
You remixed everything, mate.
Yeah. So I also did Sunshine Funk remixes, I did Fugitive remixes, I did Sunwalkers remixes. I got together with Lee S and we did Wave Shapers and Melody Masters and done loads.
So much.
The thing was, at a time when I was so busy, when a remix came in, because we did get a lot of external remixes.
Right.
So record companies, when they saw how well All Around the World were doing, they would just come to All Around the World and say, can you get one of your guys to do a remix for us?
Yeah.
So we'd have like the likes of Chico and Danny Minogue. And
the Chico one's definitely lower down that list.
Cheeky Girls.
Oh, Cheeky Girls, not wrong with that.
I've even remixed Shirley Bassey. I've done a bit of everything. So
if you had to pick one, it doesn't even need to be because it was the biggest track as such. But if you got a tune that, for instance, that you got it and you're like, actually, that was good. I think
that you really have to split them into the genres that I've done remixes in, because it's hard to pick one as a whole. So, for example, in Bounce, I'd say the best remix that Ben and I have ever done, in my own opinion, is "See the Light" by Paradise.
Yeah,
so,
probably the biggest as well.
Yeah, I mean, every time we play that record, it absolutely takes the roof off.
Yeah. I said this on the last podcast, or a couple of podcasts ago with Rob. It's one of them tunes, and I'm honest. Like I'll think. I said it to Rob about Static Bounce as well. It is the most overplayed tune ever, and it's like
more overplayed than Brothers and Sisters.
In Bounce, yeah, absolutely. No, it is literally the Brothers and Sisters tune of Bounce. That's what it is. No, but my thing is, does it not annoy you that the fact of like you could come on to do, I don't know if you're doing a Kenny Hayes set, a Starman set, KB set, or whatever. You come on and like the DJ before you plays "See the Light" because it's statistically gonna happen.
Yeah, well, fortunately that's never happened on that track, but it's happened when I've played Brothers and Sisters. So I did a Starman rework of Brothers and Sisters, and because the DJ who's been on before doesn't know I was in the band originally.
Yeah, it's a bit
or the fact that I have a version which is a set starter.
Yeah.
But it's very rare that happens. I mean, you do get people playing tracks in their sets that you're thinking, I was going to play that,
Yeah.
But no one has, exclusivity on any one track. When I play Reminisce every year, they kind of say, well, obviously, Ultra Beat are on, so don't play any Ultra Beat.
Yeah.
Or Entrance are on, don't play any Entrance.
Yeah.
So it kind of cuts down what you're going to play. But there's always loads of All Around the World clubland bangers to play.
Oh, absolutely. There's hundreds upon hundreds of all around the world stuff that you could do that you've remixed yourself.
Yeah. 1,000 times.
Yeah, it is. Honestly, it just on the way down, I was listening to the sort of back catalogue on KB tracks, and I realised that you must have remixed "Think About the Way" so many times, because I've heard like a modern version you've done. I've heard the old KB version that you've done. So.
I think what it is people have so much love for KB because they've been a staple thing within the bounce scene, like Alex K, for so long, that those tracks are memories to them. So some of my clients want to remix those tracks because they want to.
That's why they've come to you initially, though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Your clients have come to you and said, "Listen, I love what you do, and I love what you've done in the past. Let's make a tune."
Yeah, I mean, some people say, "Oh, can we make a new version of this particular track?" And I go, "Yeah, no problem." But then, if they said, "Can we do a new version of See the Light?" I'd say no, because as far as I'm concerned, the KB version is the definitive version of that track, and I don't think it could be bettered.
Right.
And so as that happens with a couple of tracks, obviously others sneak through the net, but
absolutely, yeah. So you were working all around the world. And then what happened after that? What year did you finish there?
Well, so Universal took over all around the world. They bought into all around the world towards the back end of the noughties, and then when the teens kicked in, they had more of an active involvement with the record label. So by the time 2017 came, it was time to Universal to take over. So the first thing they did was shut down the studios. So
it was like a handover period when they'd sold it. Is that what it was?
Sort of, yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah. I thought that actively kept it open for that
well,
reason.
all around the world as a label kind of was still going, because obviously they had a number of tracks that they still, the whole catalogue was still going at the time. So it's just like Universal took over operations.
Right, okay, no problem. So in 2017, well, we've actually skipped back. When you came back to the bounce scene in 2014, is that
14, right? Yeah. So basically at the time, it'd only been a year or so since Ben and I had stopped doing some stuff.
Yeah.
We started making some stuff here. We did colours.
Right.
But in 2014, Clubland TV wanted to do a series of mixes, and they came to me and Ben to do a bounce one.
Right.
And at the time, Ben had just got a new job and he couldn't do it. So I said I could do it, and they ended up doing it as me from the KB project.
Yeah.
And in the build-up to that, I had to find lots of material, because I wasn't that familiar with the bounce scene outside of what me and Ben did.
Oh no! Well, you were definitely. This is what I wanted to get into, later on as well. You were definitely in. You were in this little area where you were remixing tunes, but you weren't involved with the scene as such.
No.
So when you turned to do KB project sets, it tend to be like you turn up to your set and you wouldn't know sort of everyone there. But since 2014, you have got involved.
Yes.
You have got more. You know sort of everyone now.
When I was doing a gig with Ben at the Pier, because I only played the Pier less than 10 times.
Right.
And we did KB project sets. Before that, obviously, most people only knew Ben as being part of the KB because he used to play the tunes all the time. That's how they became anthems.
Right.
Then I started doing a bit of DJing with him, and basically playing what he said we should play, And it was only after the Clubland TV Live thing that I thought, wow, there's so much great bounce stuff out there that I didn't know about and that I really love. So I wanted to get back into it again at that point, but more so on a level where I was more involved.
Yeah.
So I set up Rebound UK at that point, and I did a lot of releases for Revolution Records and is it Relay and a couple of others,
Yeah, you did a few bits for me when you first came back. I remember you messaging and saying that. I think you explained the situation. And what happened was that you started doing this, and then you were doing remixes and stuff. So I was like, absolutely, definitely. Do you know what I mean? Like, no, well, you would, wouldn't you? It's just one of them, isn't it? But so then you came back, and then you had a period of where you would do sort of collaborations with people, just sort of. I think was it to re-establish yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I felt that because I was so unattached from the scene, in a way to make my presence more known. Because don't forget, no one really knew who Starman was.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, I only thought it started in like 2014, the Starman.
No, it started in 2009.
Right.
I did a remix in 2009 and a couple more over 10 and 11, 4 all around the world.
Right.
But it was just the reason I called it Starman because it was already called Clubstar.
See, I knew the Clubstar alias,
Yeah.
and that's where I thought it was, and it evolved into that.
Yes, it did. Yes.
Okay, that makes
So
sense.
obviously I wanted to establish that a bit more. So I wanted to work with people who were known within the scene. Cheese, Das Poom Styles,
Yeah.
a few other Rob Kane, a few others, and
Because it benefits both sides, if you don't mind me saying. Like, you're there, and like getting off the back of a Cheese or a Rob Kane or a Poom Styles, like you say, it's like, oh right, there's this Starman, and we sort of should be paying attention to him. At the same time, they're getting in the studio with Kenny Hayes from all around the world. So it's beneficial on both parties for it to happen. And then I remember in sort of 2014 you came back, and then there was just like an influx of Kenny Hayes tracks. Just all of a sudden, your remixes everywhere.
Yeah. I did a lot of Starman tracks and remixes in a very short space of time in an effort to get content out there.
Right.
Obviously, not a lot of money was coming back at the time because tracks didn't make a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
But that didn't really bother me because I was establishing Rebound UK as a label at the time.
Yep.
And doing a few bits and pieces through that. And then everything started to evolve a bit more then, and then obviously the studio became more important than actually me releasing some stuff.
I think you build a reputable name within such a short space of time. I don't think a lot of people appreciate how much of an impact you made when you came back, because a lot, no offense to you, a lot of people remember KB Project as, oh, that's Kenny from KB Project.
Yes, yeah.
But now I think it's a total reinvention of yourself and what it's about.
I think what it is honestly, if I didn't love it, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So, and I get such a buzz when I'm DJing because I call myself a producer DJ as opposed to a DJ producer.
Yeah.
Because production is my main priority, but I do love to DJ, even though I don't get that many gigs now. At one stage, I got quite a lot, probably because of the content I was releasing.
Yeah.
But things have quietened down a bit. But then I'm not getting any younger.
Right. Yeah. Oh, no. Well, to be honest with you, mate, there's a lot of people out there who sit and prefer to write tracks and not go out the other thing.
That's true. Yeah.
Me being one of them, but if it was down to me and I knew that I could have clients who would go out and hammer my tracks in the clubs, then fair enough. I'd probably knock it on the head. I'm a DJ at heart. Like, that's what I started out as. But for me, it's about production, and if any other tunes are getting played, then what's the point of me being there? Do you know what I mean?
There's no bigger buzz than seeing one of your tunes played and a dance floor reacting to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's such a buzz.
But at the same time, I don't know about you, but like, I've been in a club and someone's played my track, and I've been sort of not in the DJ booth. I've sort of just
in
been
the
to
crowd,
the side, and you can. In the moments, like, and you can hear people like tune or like like that type of thing where it's like, right, okay, this is what it's about.
Yeah.
That's the buzz you chase.
When I got to a point where Starman wasn't enough, so I had to invent Dr. B for the more hard house stuff, and Left Eye for the more hard bass stuff.
Yeah.
And I did a track with Phil Mack. I can't remember the title of it now, but
Gravity.
Gravity, that's it.
Yeah.
And I was playing Pure in Wigan, and I dropped that track, and everyone was singing it.
Right.
And I thought, that's incredible, because it's not a well-known song.
Yeah.
But it captured so many people's imaginations on that one. They loved it. So I even got Nicky to re-sing it, but we never actually re-released it. So.
Right. That's interesting, that, isn't it? Like, when you think about it. Since you came back, you'll have played a number of clubs, different places, as Kenny Hayes, as KB Project or whatnot. Since you came back, how have you found the difference? So prior to this, you say you played like Wigan Pier a handful of times. How's the scene different then to now?
Well, not much really from a dance floor perspective,
right?
Or a DJ reaction, because everyone loved the pier, didn't they? And you know, and it was always chocker, and everyone always loved the music, and that's what BTID and the other events capture exactly what that was about.
Yeah.
So, and I'm quite lucky enough to be able to be on a few of them as part of the KB project with Ben, and it's still the same buzz. If anything, it's a bit more because they have bigger crowds now.
Yeah.
So when they do Zombie Nation and they have over 2,000 people there, the reaction is just amazing.
It's now it's a show, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
before Wigan Pier as a nightclub, it's you're enclosed. And now, if you see a Zombie Nation or something like that, they've got a big light rig, they've got big sound system,
zombies. All coming out,
so it's a show. You're there for a show. It's a completely different thing. I
mean, Reminisce is also an amazing event that I do every year, and
that's got so big so quickly.
It's just incredible that I mean, I go on fairly early, and to be honest, the tent's full with people queuing up outside. That's how much people love bounce music.
I was going to ask you during your first, I would call it your first wave as KB project, like prior to 2014. What other clubs were you playing? I know you done obviously Pier and stuff. Like, where else did you venture to?
Well, I didn't start doing Pure until round about then and onwards.
I mean, as a sort of guest slot as KB project.
Well, we've done a few places. I mean, to be fair, aside from the KB project, I did a couple of Clubland gigs for Cy Paul, who's Lost Witness.
Yeah.
Because at the time he was promoting a couple of clubs, one in Inverness and one at the southern end of the country. So I've been all over, really. I played Birmingham at the same time Andy Whitby was on.
Yeah.
And up your neck of the woods, I played there a few times, and it's all over, really. I mean, even Ibiza, when BTID went over there and done a couple of gigs there.
If I'm not mistaken, I can remember. I could be misremembering. Did you do the Club 111 in Blackpool years ago?
Probably, yeah. Was
for
it
Zone?
Yes.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So I used to play for Zone because at the time, half of Zone made up Maximum Spell.
Yeah.
And I was producing their tracks for them.
Right.
So they got me a couple of gigs at the time, Debbie D, and Andy. You know.
So you do overall, really, you knew everyone, but when you come in, there was obviously in 2014. There's a whole new generation of promoters. So before you left, there wasn't the likes of Cheese with Sopranos or Kenty with Acceleration, or obviously you knew BTID, but then a lot of the smaller gigs as well. So you've had to like reinvent yourself as such.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time I met Rob Kane. It was at a it was a Zombie Nation gig, and there was 3 rooms, and actually it wasn't a Zombie Nation gig. It was at Bowlers, where Zombie Nation is, but I can't remember the name of the gig now. But we were in like room 3, which is like really small.
Oh, was it about 7?
It might have been,
I think I can remember. I went that night.
Getting a tap on the shoulder saying, "Hi Kenny, I'm Rob Kane," and that's the first time we'd met. Like, even though I knew of him and he knew of me
for years and years.
Yeah. So it's. I was so used to being behind the scenes that I never really got to see or meet people. So when that happened, it was great for me because I got to put faces to names.
Right. And I just want to ask, are you glad you done it? Like, now are you glad that you came from behind the scenes? Because you could have stayed, but you could have continued doing it.
Yeah.
But now, if you go into a club, for instance, anybody who's anyone in the scene will see you and like, all right, Kenny. Whereas before, I didn't know what you look like.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
That's true. That's true. I mean, it's great now because I see a lot of the same faces at all the events. And we sit and have a chat for 5-10 minutes, you know, and I catch up. It's great. You're screaming down each other's ear, like, because you can't hear over.
You can't have a proper call. This is what this podcast is about. I get to have a conversation with you. I've bumped into you at clubs before, and it's just been like, "All right, mate, how's it going? I've been up too much, and that's it, isn't it? It's just you just fucking sorry, I didn't mean to swear, like you just that's just what it is, isn't it? You get that 5 minutes in. It's the same with everyone in the scene. And even if you see them outside briefly, and it's just you can't indulge into a conversation like we have.
I mean, there's always going to be with people who make the music a kind of friendly rivalry because everyone's trying to make the best they can out of what they do. But as far as the punters go, who come to the gigs just to enjoy the music, it's just nice connecting with people and you know, you follow them on Facebook, you know, and you kind of interact sometimes with them, but you can't beat doing it on a gig, you know.
Yeah. I've always found as well, like, not obviously not so much with you, but when I've come across people online, obviously I'm from up in Cumbria, so I don't get to the events as much as I should, but I've always found that you can see people online, and they've got this persona and whatnot, and you meet them in person, and you know something, they're completely different, and it's just like, it's a bit mind blowing. Like, like at first, that's how I found it. I found it was just like, oh well, okay, right. This has caught me off guard. There's been a couple of people who has messaged me in the past, and we've had a conversation back and forth and stuff, and maybe just because I'm more of a, like I said, we couldn't have done this over Zoom. I'm not a person who talks to somebody online, and anyone who talks to me on Messenger, I'm quite short.
Yes.
And I don't want to come across as short. But it's one of them things where it's like you can only express so much emotion within a conversation.
That's true.
So when you meet them in person, and they're much more friendly than you first thought. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's a bit of a shock.
At the end of the day, we're all people, aren't we? You know what I mean? I think one thing I would definitely say I don't have is an ego.
Yeah.
You know, it's a case of I'll speak to anybody. You know.
Absolutely, and it's very noticeable as well. But like, I'll just say, so we've come up from like sort of 2017. You've got the gigs are coming back, and you establish yourself as Kenny Hayes and stuff like that. Where sort of pre-pandemic, were you happy with what you'd established? And
obviously, when I ended working with All Around the World, it was a bit of a reality check then, because then I had to find a job,
right,
which wasn't to do with music. I had to find a way of bringing money in. Unfortunately for me, Daz Poomstars worked for a company, a civil engineering company, and got me a job there.
Sound lad, isn't he?
No, brilliant. Lovely. So I worked there for only a couple of years. So basically, the pandemic kind of kicked in, didn't it, at the beginning of 2020?
Yeah.
Now, by that time, I'd already started doing sessions with people. I started doing sessions with people as far back as 2018.
So were you doing it in your spare time as such? So
yes,
like you had a full-time job, and then this was.
But then
like
I was doing sessions in between.
Okay.
So I started off with obviously Matt Wickman, RG was Pitch Invader, and Matt C Initiate.
Yeah.
They were the first three that I was doing regular work with.
Did they reach out to you and say that they had this idea and they wanted to?
Yeah, they wanted to make some tunes, you know, and to be fair, but. The ideas came thick and fast really quickly, you know, and then obviously that caught on in the imaginations of other people, and other people decided that they wanted to do the same thing.
Right. So you'd have a massive client list.
All right, like, I do now.
No, but like it's impressive, man. Like you. Yeah, it's impressive. I've got no words for it, because it's like it's like I said to you earlier on. You produce probably 50+% of the big bounce tunes in the bounce scene, and like it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. No, it's a good achievement. By the way,
well, I'm not taking anything away from the other producers who are out there making tunes, because they're making some big bangers as well. You know, and the good thing about our scene is the fact that the public who love bounce music, they can never have enough of it, you know.
Understandable.
So the more tunes everyone's making, the better, really. And to be fair, my clients, they don't just sit there and expect me to get on with it. They all have great ideas about what they want to do, but they bring a lot to the table.
I just want to tell a little story, if that's all right. Just a little why you said that, to be honest. In about 2018, I started doing some tunes for some people. I wasn't making a great deal of money off it, but it was more, as you say, getting to interact with people and whatnot. And I had one person in. I don't know if you want to tell some stories on this as well, because I'm sure you're bound to have some. But it was a DJ who was no longer in the scene, because I think he was just a fly-by-night sort of name, where he thinks, I just want to produce my tunes and then I'll be big and then that's it. So I had this guy, and he to be fair, he travelled up from where he was from. It was a fair distance, and we got in, and he said to me, I said, what do you want to do? And at the time I was in my little box room, and I had the setup, speakers, everything there, I had a little table there with like my drinks and stuff on, and then behind me I had a little sofa, and he's sitting on the sofa, and he's like, just make something like you do, and I was like, right, okay, so what do you want to do then? And he was like, I'm not gonna lie to you, mate. I've paid you, and also I was DJing last night, so I'm a bit rough, and I've been on it. So do you just want to work away, make it sound like your tunes, but I want to use this vocal? I was like, right, okay. So then I was like, how does this sound? I turned round, and he was lying down asleep on the sofa, right? And like, this is what kind of put me off doing studio sessions with people. So I just started. I was like, right, I'm not going to wake him up. I'll just carry on with the tune and just go in. If he wanted to sound like me, he may as well just be one of my tunes. So I did it, completed it and stuff like that, and it got to sort of like 5 o'clock in the evening. I thought, I'm getting hungry now, I'm going to have to just sort of finish this off. So I woke him up, and then I said, how does this sound? And he was like, exactly what I wanted, thank you very much. And he left. It was so short with everything, and I was just like, right, okay, so that's that. I don't master my own stuff, so what I done was I mixed it the next day with fresh ears, sent it off for mastering. He messaged me asking for the tune, so when I got it back I sent him it, and then I don't think we've talked since, to be fair, right? So it's just one of them, which I don't mind. I'm not losing any sleep over it, but I'm just like, he just came and he drove X amount of miles. It was over 100 miles, by the way. He's drove 100 miles here, slept on my sofa all day. I've had free reign on this tune, and then he's left. I'm like, do I want to carry on doing this? Or maybe I just had a bad experience, because I'm not gonna lie, I had 2 other people in, and they were fantastic. They knew what they wanted, and as I can imagine with yourself, like when people come in, they have an idea of what they want, and if they don't want, it's like, say, right, you can hear something like, oh, what do you think of this? And they'll say, no, I wasn't thinking that. Let's do it like this, and they do it, and it's like, fair enough, it's your idea, you do what you want. But this was a full beginning, so like, it didn't even pick a kick drum. This was beginning to end. I'd just done it, and it was like, right, okay.
I mean, the thing is, a lot of DJs, they really do want to make a tune, but they don't have the first idea of how to do it.
Yes, which is understandable.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
So you've got one section of DJs who want to actually make their own tunes, but they're still learning how to do it. So their knowledge of how they produce tracks isn't great. So they need some assistance in finding out how to move that along quicker. On the other side, you've got DJs who have no musical ability whatsoever, but in their mind, they want to do this tune.
Some DJs, I don't mind name dropping them either, I'll say, people like Joe Taylor. Joe Taylor's a prime example of, right, I think he's a good reader of the dance floor. I've seen him do it, and he knows what a crowd want. So when you've got a mind like that who wants to make a tune, why not get them in the studio? Imagine the tune that could fill a dance floor. I'm just using Joe as an example.
I've done a few with Joe, and every one of them's been banging.
So I'm not going to say he hasn't got the musical knowledge, because I don't know if he has or not. But he's not a producer. But because he's playing out regularly, and he gets to see what goes off on the dance floor. And to be fair, when Joe Taylor plays, he's always got a full dance floor. It's not as if because he's adaptable to a crowd. So when he comes in with an idea, you know what he wants, and you're 90% sure it's probably going to work as well. Just,
I mean, what's important to me more than anything is that when when this track is finished, and the client's walking out that door, is that he's happy with what's happened. Now, in some cases, very rare cases, some people kind of like a rabbit in the headlights over it, because it's a new experience, and it's the first time it's ever happened. They're so in awe of how quickly it's put together that they've not really took on board the whole process. And they might say a day or two later, actually, you see that bit that we put in there, can you take that out? Or see that bit there, can you put something in there, you know? And obviously, if I have the time to do it, and it doesn't take a lot of time to do, I'll do it, no problem. So I think with a lot of them, they do have ideas that they want to do, and I think everybody should have an opportunity. And I know some people can't afford to do it, and it's a luxury for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
But you kind of, if you want to invest in your career as a DJ or a producer, whether you're starting off from scratch and you want to learn everything yourself, but you just want to find a little. It's almost like watching what do you call a tutorial on YouTube.
Yeah.
No one has a go at you for doing that, do they? So it's only the same if you paid for a session.
Yeah. So for instance, I'm using people's names, and I don't know if that's okay or not. But for instance, like Wiggy, Wiggy's an established DJ before, but when he come and done the Matt Wigman thing with you, and he's got his IDs into tracks.
Yeah.
That was an investment for him. Like he's invested in you for these tunes, and now he reaps the rewards in gigs because people know his tunes.
But he was my first client, and now he's part of the BTID team.
Yeah, well, it just goes to show, doesn't it? Like, the progression of what he does. And there isn't just one success story. You've got quite a lot that's come out.
I mean, let's be fair. It's the hardest thing in the world to make 10 tracks, all 10 tracks be amazing and do big business, you know. I try my best to do the best I can do on a track for a client.
Absolutely.
And in some cases, what they want overrides what I think the track is. You know, if they go, I just wanted to kick in with this flat bass and that's it. That's my job as an engineer to give them what they want.
Absolutely, mate. And if they think it's going to work, then they let them have it. Exactly. That's not a problem. So I just want to ask you a couple of questions now. What do you think of the bounce scene in 2022? So post pandemic, are you feeling like?
Well, to be fair,
hopeful about it?
I mean, as far as my career making bounce music is concerned, the pandemic was a good thing for me because it.
Like a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, almost, I became very busy. And to be fair, at the early teens, the late noughties, bounce music, as soon as all around the world are kind of not passed on bounce music, but kind of reduced its output, we'll say. There's less interest in those people who made that music because they were making money from it. And once you don't make any money from something, you're thinking, why should I do it? Well, one of the reasons is the passion behind it. But the thing is, passion stretches only so far and doesn't put food on the table.
Absolutely.
So, I think
a lot of people do not understand that, though.
No.
Like, it's hard to explain to somebody that you're doing something and you've got passion for it. You've got the luxury of you can come to work, and work is fun.
Yes,
so people think you're just having fun in a studio.
Exactly.
But you're earning a wage at the same time.
Exactly.
So a lot of people don't understand that and think it's blurring the lines. And
I think with regards to bounce music as a scene, it's always been fairly underground. Even more so, like in that time period I just said. But as the years have grown on and we've got up to this stage, when you see the likes of BTID putting on huge events, you know, with thousands of people at them, bounce events, you know, and even reminisces, like we said before, Bounce Back Tent, which is absolutely rammed every year.
Absolutely.
I think that bounce music is just going from strength to strength. Obviously, they're trying to give it a shine over, and Radio 1 don't want to call it that. They want to call it hyper pop and that kind of crap. I think bounce music will probably break through eventually. It'll only take one track to do it. The thing we have is that Radio 1 and the south of England love 170 BPM drum and bass. And they love 128 BPM EDM.
But they don't like anything
in between. So, or even trance at 140 is still acceptable.
Less so nowadays, I think. Within Radio 1's perspective, because they like the what do they call it now? The is it progressive? Not progressive. The trance that's like
it's a lot slower, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I love all that.
I love it. I do. You can't knock it, but it's just one of the things you makes you think to yourself, why isn't bounce getting support? Because some, like, for instance. Let's Decade, is it Decade?
Decade, yes.
So what's that? Don't Give Up on Love tune?
Yeah.
For instance, how that didn't chart, I don't know, because it was massive within the bounce scene.
Huge.
And people were streaming it, and stuff, but it just makes you think, like, there's tunes that chart that aren't as universally popular. And it's just like,
I mean,
Where-
Blinky did the original version.
The original, yeah. But you did get it re-sung though, didn't you?
Yeah, Imogen re-recorded it and did a fantastic job. And
Yeah.
you play that at any bounce event, and it goes off every time.
The thing is, though, it's not just bounce people who know it. I know this is sort of a thing, though, but like for instance, my mum knows that tune.
Right,
Like, it's
yeah.
like 'cause she loves seeing it on TikTok or something
Yeah,
like that,
yeah,
or
yeah.
something along them lines. And it's like, oh, that's that tune that sounds like what you play. And I'm like, yeah, that's that tune that sounds like that. It's just one of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
What was I going to ask you? We're just going to stop for a break for section 1, and then in section 2 we're going to get into the questions. This is a new section for anyone who's new to the podcast, where we've asked people to write in and ask questions. I'm not going to lie to you, some of the questions I got was random, like it's very random. So we'll see you again in a minute.
Cool.
So we're back again. So this is section 2 of the podcast. This is new, so it might be a bit different. We might have what's it called? I can't think of the word. We might have teething problems.
Right. Okay.
Because I'm standing looking at a phone, but I'm just reading what people have wrote to me. So we've got a couple of questions this week. So basically, if you haven't already, you can join the Facebook group, which is It's Time to Refresh Community. It's a private group, but I'll accept you into it, and you can ask questions, anything that you've got. We did organise this last minute, didn't we, mate?
Yes, we did. Yeah.
So I couldn't say that you were coming on and ask questions for you. So this is a generalised sort of questions we've got here. So I'm just going to read this as best I can, because some people write as they speak, as I said before. So here we go. All right, lad. Me and the boys have had a serious problem with one of our mates going missing at raves. Picture this: every time we're going to a rave, we all meet up at a mate's house beforehand for some pre-party shenanigans, and all is going well right up to the queuing outside of the club or festival we're attending. Then from there, one of our pals, Stephen, just goes missing for the night, literally every time, and we won't see him till booting out time. He said there is nothing wrong with this, getting off his cake and just indulging in the party and floating around the club. Am I being a soft cunt, or is Jim and your mates at a rave bang out of order? Love the podcast, by the way. Love Mike, XOXO. So, what's your thoughts on that? I don't know where we can go from here.
Well, I think. I mean, when you go to a rave of any kind with your mates, you're kind of supporting each other, aren't you? Especially if you're doing things you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think if you disappear and go on a solo somewhere, then no one's going to be looking after you.
Yeah, I can see that. So when you go on a night out, as such, do you go to raves as a punter anymore?
Not really, no.
I can remember on Rob's podcast, you said you went to what's the one in Warrington when Hitman Now was on.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah.
So when you went there, did you go on your own or with friends?
On my own.
Oh, you went on your own.
It was actually the very first Hitman and Her.
Was it?
And because he did it in Warrington, because
Yeah.
obviously he lived in Warrington at the time, Pete
Right.
Waterman.
Yeah.
And he's a hero of mine from back in the day.
Do you know something? I was born in '96, so I sort of missed that generation. But I used to watch the old tapes, and I had a thing for Michaela Strachan. She was, I don't know why. Like she's not even that nice. I think it was just like sort of
Of the time.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But so did you ever go out to raves or?
Well, when I left school in '88, and I went to school in East Anglia because we used to live in Warrington, and my dad was a sales rep, and we moved to East Anglia because of his job.
Right.
And we lived there for 4 years, and then moved back to Warrington in 1988.
Right.
And so when I moved back to Warrington, I didn't know anybody. So I went to Mr. Smith's on my own.
Yeah.
Of a weekend, and bumped into, believe it or not, people I'd been to school with last time I lived
Right.
there.
Okay.
But
So was that like 4 years before?
yeah.
Right,
So
okay.
it's a bit
How old
mad.
were you at this point? Sorry.
I was 17 in 1988.
Right. So it's sort of you're starting to go out phase. And,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
okay.
And obviously my love of 80s stems from all that period. But so I used to go to the club, and then I'd come out the club at the same time as everybody else, grab some food and walk home, because I lived 2 miles away from the
Right.
club, and I couldn't be bothered paying for a taxi.
Right.
But I never got so smashed that I didn't know where I lived.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. So when you go out as such, say with say your missus. I'm not saying go to a nightclub as such, but say you go to like you go out with friends and your missus and whatnot. Do you tend to stick together? Is it?
Yeah.
Because is Stephen bang out of order for?
Well,
for it?
to be fair, when I went out with my mates
Yeah.
in the early 90s, I'd be the person who'd go, I've had enough now. So I'll go, I'm just going to the loo.
Oh, and then
and then I'd do one out the door and go home.
Right, well, it's fair enough, isn't it?
So it's a bit kind of the same kind of situation if a mate wanders off and does that. If he wanders off because he wants to, let him wander off, you know.
I remember when my missus was in uni, so I used to work 4 on 4 off at my job, so you do 12-hour shifts, and on the last one you'd finish at 6 o'clock. I'd drive down to York from where it was at, and we'd go on nights out, so obviously as you do 4 on 4 off, it alternates through the week.
Yeah.
So the best nights to go out was your Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, student nights.
Right.
So you're going out in the clubs, and I'm not going to lie, like, I don't think Stephen's out of order. Like, you can go off and indulge in the night, because for me, we used to pre-drink, and I used to be quite a heavy drinker, and I'd have a litre of vodka and then a shitload of Red Bull before I went out. So no, because it's cheaper, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like,
it is. Yeah, everyone gets tanked up before they go out now. It's too expensive.
So I was caked at this point. Do you know what I mean? I've had a litre of vodka.
Yeah.
So I'd go out and I'd order a drink and that, and like we'd sort of split up for everybody, and like I'd be with my missus most of the time, like, but like I don't see the problem in going out in a club and then you just linger around. Because for me, I like as a DJ, I used to like going to the DJ box, see what he's up to.
Yeah.
But them who were at uni, her friends and that, like the lads were more interested in necking with birds or like no, but like it's just what it is, isn't it? Like getting with birds or just going mental on the dance floor, drinking, being daft. Just one of those, isn't it?
To be fair, if you go out with a bunch of lads and you've reached your limit, you know, you just go, I'm off.
I used to do that. So like you'd go out and I'd have a fake student card or no, I'd lend a student card if somebody was. It wasn't a fake one. That's naughty. But I'd have like a student card to get into these student bars 'cause, at the time, and you'd go in and it'd be like £1 a pint and stuff. So if I had a litre of vodka before I came out, I'm on the pints after that.
Yeah.
By 8 pints, I'm right. I'm just going home. So we just got to McDonald's and go home. But everyone else would stay out all night. Or,
exactly.
Or sometimes I'd stay out all night and then go home early. It's just the way it is. How much you indulge.
Yeah, on a normal night out, that's what you'd normally do, isn't it? It's different when you go on holiday abroad, say. You know what I mean? Everyone stays out then, don't they? But,
yeah. Have you got any stories about BTID MAGA or like that when you were there? We're inclined to some funny stories on the podcast. We've had some legendary stuff being said. And a lot of them tend to be on these holly raves. That's the
right, yeah.
So have you got anything you'd like to share at all?
I don't know. It's difficult to say, really.
You don't want to get anyone in trouble?
Thinking back to those times. I mean, the thing is, when you go on those kind of things, like BTD in Ibiza, say, you always go bonkers on the first night because you think, yay, I'm on holiday and all that. And then you're rough as hell the whole day after, you know, and then that's it then. You've done your mad night and you kind of settle into normality.
I've got another story as well. It's just when it thinged, we did Magaluf. It was for my stag do, so it was like 5 years ago now. And everyone knows that I used to like a bit of a drink, fuck it quite heavily. So like when we went, everyone was right up for it. There was 10 of us, and as a stag, you don't know what they've got planned, do you? So it's just one of them. So we were going down, and we had like a box of cans each on the way down, sort of getting into it, and got over to we got these really shitty flights. Because we tried done everything on the cheap. Our hotel room was £2.50 each a night, right? So it was above like a takeaway. Oh, it was fucking dreadful, man. Right, and so we got there, and it was like 10 o'clock. So the street where it was, we if you know Magaluf, it was where the Red Lion was. So we pulled up in the taxi. Red Lion was absolutely heaving. Like, we need to get in amongst this.
Yeah.
And so we just ran in and threw the bags in. Never thought of it. And then my best man stopped me on the way out. He says, "Whoa!" He says, "You're getting changed, mate." I was like, "What do you mean?" So they all got me in. I had to dress up in this maid's outfit, right?
Oh my god!
So I was like, "Well, I'm a stag. What do? You just get in it, don't you? You just get amongst it." So I put it on. They even put like an ugly spot on my face and wig, and I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll drop the image of me dressed up in the podcast right now, so people can see how awful it is. So then we're coming out. So I had a short skirt on, still had me underwear and that on, and so as I was coming out, I had my wallet and my keys for the room, and I said to my mate who was sharing a room with me, I says, "Can you just keep one of them? I've got no pockets." Yeah, fair enough. And then my cousin came from behind, ripped my boxes off, so everything was out. But the thing was, this was a really short skirt. Like, I'm talking, like, everything was out, cock and balls everywhere, and there was police everywhere. I was a bit worried, but obviously you've had a box of cans, you're less worried.
Yeah.
And then this girl came running over, and she was like, "Oh, you all right, Brad? How's it going?" And basically, she was a club promoter back from where I'm from years ago. And I sort of knew when I was running events, and she was like, "I seen on Facebook you were coming on your stag do when the lads were posting it, and I've been keeping an eye out for you. Come in here, I'll sort you out with some drinks in so you're the stag." I was like, "This is good, this." I mean, I don't think she'd noticed what had been going on down there, I don't think. So we sat down, and luckily I was sitting on a bench outside, like the Red Lion, and I was covered up with the table, so nobody noticed or like that. And then she came out with a box of a tray of shots, and there was 30 shots on there. And the lads are like, "Oh, she's looking after you, mate. Well, it sort of pays to be a promoter, DJ." I was like, no. So it was there, and then 15 of the shots were shot glasses of absinthe and stuff like that.
God.
And then the other 15 was the test tube things.
Yeah.
So I put them down, and my mate went to grab one. She slapped his hand. She went, "Hey, these are his." I said, 30 shots. He says,
Ooh.
I'm gonna let you just have them. Right, so next 3 of them, and it's absinthe, so it doesn't sit nice with you.
Killer.
And I was there, and I was just like, "Oh my god!" And then the last sort of thing I remember is she says, "Right, now you've had 3, whatever you don't drink, you have to pay for." So she's set me up essentially. So right, I was like, "Fair enough, I'll drink it. I'll drink the lot." So I was necking these shots. Next minute, we got to the test tubes. Put the test tube in my mouth, just pressed it in. Just, do you know what? Take it, because you've got 15 more of these to do. Yeah. So, and she's going, "Right, you've been an absolute vagina here." she was like, she's one of these rough lasses. She's nice, she's really friendly, but you're being a vagina. I was like, "Come on, let's do it." She got it, smashed the back of the tube thing, went down my throat, it came out my nose and everything like that. I was like, "Oh!" Like, just like, right. And then I can't remember anything after that. The rest of the night, nothing. It's the only time I've been sort of like blackout steaming. Like that's what it is. So, anyways, when it all come down to it, I drank them a lot, according to the lads and the videos I've seen afterwards. And then we were walking up, and we're doing another stag do. They're all dressed as like wrestlers, like from the 80s, like Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior. Saw me getting pictures with it. I'm a big wrestling fan, you see. Getting pictures with them. Next minute, this copper comes and puts his hand on my shoulder. Everyone, at this point, I forgot my cock and balls are out. Do you know what I mean? And everyone's at this point, they've shit themselves. Like, even though other stag do were like, "This guy's fucked here." And I was like, so I turned around and he went, "Excuse me, boss." I went, "Yeah. Can I get a photo with you?" So this copper, this Spanish copper, got a picture with. I don't know. It's never came to prominence. So. But he got a photo with me. He's this other copper took a picture. There's a picture of me with arm around him, cock and balls out, and the other copper's like he's cupping the balls, and he's loved it, and they're right up for it. And I was like, "This is amazing." But honestly, I can't remember anything about that. But as you say, once you indulge in holiday raves and stuff like that, it does get a bit wild. Yeah. I'm teetotal now, by the way. I used to drink a lot, and it got too much, so now I just don't drink at all.
Anyone who knows me knows I like a glass of wine.
Oh, I do. What is your favourite wine? I used to drink a lot of red myself.
Well, I like Italian reds mainly, but you can't get many good Italian reds over here. So I tend to drink Australian Wolf Blass, red label Shiraz, lovely.
Right, I think I have had that.
It's nice.
Right, I used to just go in to the shop, and I'd be like, right, I don't get the cheap ones because I've tried it, they're tacky.
Yeah, this is horrible.
Right, I don't pay for the expensive ones because, to me, a good red wine is a good red wine. It doesn't need to be anything. So what I used to do.
Chris all around the world he used to say to me that if you spend any more than £30 on a bottle of wine, it's pointless.
Right.
So anything after £30, you're never going to notice the difference.
Yeah. Well, that's what I found, and then I come across this one, Gentleman's Collection. You know that?
No.
It's just a cheap bottle of wine. I think it's about £9, maybe not even that. And like, Honestly, I used to have a bottle of that every night, and that's when I realised I had a drinking problem. So.
Cheap at £9. That's not cheap, that.
but it's cheap enough that because it tastes like a premier wine. You know what I mean, like premium type wine.
Yeah.
It tasted like something you would get served in a really good restaurant. So I just stuck to that, and I'd have a bottle of that every night, and I'd wake up with an absolute pound headache because I thought I'm having enough to drink on the edge.
I've on the rare occasion, and I've kind of a lesson learned is. I don't take wine with me to events now, because the last time I did, I was doing a Zombie Nation gig, and I took a bottle with me, and I'd already drank a bottle with my missus before I went. And so I'm backstage with the glass of wine, getting ready to go up on stage, and took it up on stage with me.
Yeah.
And Martin said, I don't think you should be up there with that in your hand, so I kind of give it him back. But I was pretty smashed that night, so I'm thinking I won't do that again.
I'm not gonna lie to you, mate. If I've had a bottle of red wine, I'm good for nothing for DJ.
Thing is, once you get used to drinking a particular type, on a regular basis, it doesn't have the same effect.
Yeah, I suppose it makes sense. I had to stop drinking because pre-pandemic, I used to have a pint every night with my dinner, and then after that, it got quite bad. Where like. 1 pint would turn into 2 pints. 2 pints, I'd end up getting a box of 4, and then I'd drink real ales. I'd get 6 of them, and turn like 6 a night. And I got up to like 25 stone. A couple of people know this story.
Wow, 25 stone.
I've got pictures of me, and a lot of people didn't see me at that time. The only person who seen me, I think Daz seen me. I was at a New Year's Eve gig, and he come and patted the belly, and he was like, "Mate, you're piling these pounds on now." He's honest, isn't he? That's what he is. I was like, "I know, I need to do something about it." So I thought, I like the drinking, but I need to cut this down. So I turned to red wine. I was drinking a lot of red wine. I heard it's healthy for you. Didn't realise it's 900 calories or something a bottle.
It's all sugars, isn't it?
Yeah. The thing is, when I opened it, and I opened a bottle of wine, you feel like you need to finish it, don't you? You can't just have one and then
that is true.
Put it back. It's just one of them, isn't it? You just indulge.
The only time that happens is if I fall asleep.
What was I going to say? Right, I've sort of went off on a massive tangent here. But I'll just wrap this bit up. But so basically, I went teetotal when the pandemic hit, because I thought a lot of people were having garden parties where they were like, get the beers out, and a lot of my friends were inviting me around, and I'm like, I'm going to be alcoholic at this rate. Like, do you know what I mean? I need to stop this. So I started walking, and that I dropped 6 stone at the time, and then and that was just through completely stopping the drink. And a bit of exercise, and it just goes to show how much I was drinking and intaking. I got to the point where I used to go to work and I wouldn't have a hangover after drinking sort of 10 cans or something like that. I wouldn't feel it. You just feel normal, and it's one of them. So we did go off on a tangent there, but right, we've got one more question for today, and it is, this one is very fitting actually. I didn't know who was going to be on the next podcast, but this is very fitting into have a new one, because we can discuss it and relate on it. This one's a bit better written. It's, "Hi mate, budding producer here. Keep this as anonymous because I want this as a non-biased answer. I'm a producer who's been pushing my tracks out now on good bounce labels for years, and they get support and players on mixes and club sets like Bounce Heaven, Sopranos, This Is Bounce, BTID, but I never get any interest in bookings or guest slots anywhere. I'd be lucky if I get 1 gig a year. I'm sick of hearing from people that I should be on lineups and are the most underrated DJ who doesn't get little to no recognition. What advice would you give to somebody who is putting out in the industry standard music by releasing on labels, but not getting anything in return? I'm typing this in frustration. Thanks, lad. Love the podcast."
That's a difficult one, that, because you see, a lot of my clients make tunes because it's almost expected now of promoters expect DJs to be producers as well. So that's why a lot of people make tunes now in the hope that they'll get such a following from making the tunes that they'll get the gigs. But that's not necessarily always the case. There's a lot of factors involved, and a lot of luck as well at the same time, to be fair. Just to weigh it up a bit. So, for example, one of my clients, Ash Middleton, Ash M. So he's not been in it that long. He's been making tunes a bit longer than most of my clients have. And he loves making the tunes. And with the hope that he could eventually play for BTID.
Right.
And his dream became a reality last year, and now they're rebooking him for events. But he doesn't necessarily promote himself in any way, other than every now and then he does a mix called Raving a Random Kitchen.
Right.
And but he's not on social media shoving himself in people's faces all the time. He's quite lucky like that. Other people like Shanks, who's another prolific DJ producer, who has worked his knackers off over the past 12 months. He's not getting the gigs that he wants. Now it's starting to turn for him now, because he got a guest mix on Bounce Heaven podcast.
Right.
So that's a big thing,
Yeah.
you know, and that could lead to far bigger gigs. But I think the problem we have with it in this industry is there ain't that many events.
Well, yeah, that is one thing. Yeah, definitely.
And when you look at the likes of BTID doing an event, they have a team of resident DJs.
Yeah.
So they have like a room 2 where they put the newer talent on.
Yeah.
But to be fair, if you're starting at, say, your event at 9 o'clock in the evening and it finishes by 2, so that's 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, it's 5 hours. It's not a lot of time to put a lot of people on as DJs.
There isn't, no. And you don't want to do that thing where you're a convoluted thing where you do 45-minute sets and it's 45 minutes back to back.
Well, I don't think a DJ can show off his potential in 45 minutes, to be fair. You know, I mean, I know a lot of people get 45-minute sets nowadays so they can fit more people on the bill.
Yeah.
But I think self-awareness and promotion is quite important for any budding DJ stroke producer. So you need to be making tunes, you need to be seeing people, you need to be on social media showing yourself. A good example is Hannah Taylor, for example.
Yeah.
Now, Hannah's one of my clients. She makes tunes with
Mikey C.
Yeah, Mikey C.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden she seems to be on a lot of flyers on a lot of gigs.
Yeah.
Now that's probably through self-promotion and the fact that she's pushed herself, and she's got these little videos of her doing gigs and stuff, and she's really pleasant as well.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think if you're going into the industry expecting gigs and moaning about it, you're less likely to get them.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think what he's got at there is that he thinks if you just produce music and you put them out on good labels, that people will come chasing you. Well, it's not exactly the thing.
No, I
what
mean,
you should be doing.
You should be doing like a podcast, for example,
Well, you could,
or a mix on a regular basis to show how good you are as a DJ.
I can't remember who it is, to be honest. Obviously, it's anonymous. They don't want unbiased opinion. But I don't know if they do mixes or not, so I can't tell you if they do or not.
I think anything like that though helps to promote the image of the DJ. If you want a gig, you've got to be showing some kind of DJ skill, haven't you, of sorts?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I think if they're making tunes, doing producer sets, or even incorporating other tracks from other producers, you know, the gigs will come. Because
you see a lot though, don't you? Like now, more so with social media being so prolific within everything, that people have got a voice and they say like, listen, I'm kicking its arse here, like, I'm putting out tunes, all the big DJs are supporting it.
Yeah.
That's basically what he's saying, like, I'm getting signed to good labels, so the music must be good.
Yeah.
DJs are supporting
Is he getting tracks signed to good labels, though, and getting high chart positions?
I don't know.
You can sign a track to BTID and be number 19 in the charts every time you release something.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean it's selling well or that many people like it.
Yeah, it's a good point.
So I think I mean, if you're top 5 all the time and you're not getting the gigs,
yeah, there's
that could
a
be an
problem.
issue there.
Yeah, but there's another thing as well. You need to go out and be known.
Yes, you do.
Like a little.
You need to be going to events. You need to be introducing yourself to these people. You need to be getting on with them and being nice about the whole thing. Really, you know, you need to be likable, don't you? Really.
There's a thing of like, you push yourself too much where it becomes annoying and crabbish. Like.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with being professional and saying, "Hi, I'm Kenny Hayes.
Yeah.
I produce this music," or even just handing a USB in now and saying, "This is who I am, name to face."
Yeah.
Whether anything comes of it or not.
Yeah.
But if you stick around like a bad smell for bad long enough,
Yeah.
some them, somebody will pick you up.
That's the thing. Let's be fair here. You can't be doing it for 18 months and expect it to land in your lap. People.
He did say years, so he said he's been around for years.
Yeah.
And if he's saying he's getting 1 gig a year, I assume it must be multiple years he's been around. So
yes, yeah.
So,
I mean, so if he is getting gigs already, that's a good thing. The fact that he's not getting more gigs might be down to any number of different reasons, mightn't it? I mean, I find that even though we're all really pally when we all see each other, there can be divides within the bounce scene between more like even labels sometimes, you know, like Sopranos, Acceleration Digital, Bounce Heaven. There's different artists in different labels
associated with them.
And making different music. You know, it's.
So, for instance, this is my advice to you. I don't know if I'm an up and comer. I've been an up and comer for about 12 years now. But
special guest star.
No, but I as another up and comer as such, if you want to call me that. Because I got labelled as that last week, so I'm just going to roll with it.
Yeah,
I got labelled as that. I was a bit gutted, but it is what it is. As somebody who's doing it, and I play for Sanctuary quite a lot. So I know if I play for Sanctuary, I maybe don't play for other gigs, which is just how it is, isn't it? Like some promoters won't book you if you don't play for. That's just the politics behind it. I think you just need to grow up and realise that you won't play for every
brand.
There's only select few DJs who's been around long enough who play for all brands.
If you look at the likes of Sopranos, they have like a residency list. Now those residents obviously play every event, so there's no room for any newcomers on those events.
Exactly. So you can't expect to be. Why am I not on Sopranos? Well, for one, you're not a resident, and for two, you could be playing for another event down the road, which clashes with it. It's like, so you don't come in thinking you're going to get on every event.
I think that's one of the things with BTID, that what they do is the thing is, all events always want to utilise the most important dates, the bank holidays, around about Christmas time, the Mad Friday and stuff like that.
Boxing Day.
And now the thing is, one of BTID's policies, of course, is to, if you're doing a BTID gig, they want you to concentrate on promoting that gig, so therefore they don't really want you playing locally the week before or the week after. So that kind of is a restriction which stops you from doing other gigs. But that's only because they want to concentrate on that person at their event at that time, so I understand that.
The backing you out there, that's what it is. It's like it's same with Cheese. If he's got, I don't know who the residents are at the minute, but Shiv got on, didn't she? So Shiv,
John.
So we'll use Shiv as a thing. Now Cheese has sort of backed her as one of the residents. She'd be expected to work for them and push their product of what they do. At the end of the day, it's a business. It's that's how it runs. If you're getting disheartened by not getting the gigs and you're only getting one a year, it could be the one you play for. That's all I can say. The one that you play for might not associate with another brand, and that's why you're not getting booked by that brand. Or what you need to do is you need to get to the gigs, show your face, show that you're interested, and if you're producing music, make sure you're producing music that suits that brand. I'm not gonna sit there and produce a pokey or a hard bass tune and turn up to BTID and say why am I not on?
Exactly.
The same with, I wouldn't go and produce, for instance, a big, like, say, a hard house tune. And go to somewhere and say, like for instance, go to a BTID or a Sopranos and go.
I think let's be honest. There's no guarantees in this industry at all. Just because you record at Rebound doesn't get you anywhere. Your track has to be good at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And to be fair, you need to be a good DJ. If you've got some skills. Show us what those skills are in videos or wherever you can, in your mixes and
in
stuff
content.
Like that.
It's just exactly. Content as well.
You can't. I mean, if you're not doing anything to promote yourself with regards to even making tunes, you can't expect everyone to come to you. You know,
you could be making the best tunes in the world, but if no one's hearing them, they're not the best tunes in the world.
That's true as well. I mean, one of the issues that's on at the moment is that So Bounce Heaven released 10 songs on a Monday. Acceleration Digital released 6 on a Tuesday and 6 on a Thursday. Sopranos, I'm not quite sure. Clubbed, they also release around that same time. So you're talking a minimum of 20 odd tracks a week coming out.
And you're expecting yours to be the one that gets picked up by
exactly.
people.
If you're not in that top 5 of tunes released that week, I don't think anyone's going to remember who you are. And unfortunately, it's a bad thing, really, because some of those tracks are amazing.
Yeah, and they just get sort of...
Yeah.
It is. I can totally...
And then the good thing is Bounce Heaven and Acceleration Digital and Sopranos and Club aren't labels. They're digital stores. A lot of people forget this. You're not signing your track to Bounce Heaven. You're releasing your track on Bounce Heaven.
Their site,
Cheeky Tracks, that's a label. If you want your track to go that bit further, think outside the box, do something for them, you know. But at the end of the day, that track's still yours to do with as you wish, you know.
Exactly. Right, so overall, we would just say, my advice would be, I don't know if you agree with this, keep consistent, promote yourself in a professional manner, don't be a crab, right, and support the events as well. Like, you can't expect to get bookings for the biggest events if you're not attending them to...
That's
you
true.
know what I mean? That is an up-and-comer. If you're an established artist, like, you don't see, like, yourself or, say, like, John Neal or someone like that, they won't go out at events and network themselves because they're already networked. They've got their own network already.
Exactly.
So they don't need to. But if you're an up-and-comer and you're producing these tunes that's getting signed that you believe are good enough, and everyone's calling you an underrated DJ, then go out and make your face known. That's all I can say.
Get speaking to promoters.
Yeah,
get the vibe about what they're expecting.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. So we'll move on from that to the last one, which is subject of the week. This is also a new thing. And to start it off, it's my own subject. So and it is traveling on your own. So we do talk about travel stories and that. There's been some fantastic stories being told on here. But we went, me, my missus and my little lad went on holiday to Zadar last week in Croatia, and we were looking for the bus station outside the airport, and this guy came up to me and he said, you were looking for the bus as well? And I was like, yeah. So we sort of helped each other and looking and whatnot. So I was having a crack with him and he says, it's my birthday weekend, I'm travelling on my own. Right, and it got me thinking, of travelling on your own, what's your thoughts on it? It's just because
travelling as a DJ.
Yeah, as a DJ, right, we spend a lot of time on the road on our own. Like, obviously, if you're travelling from where you live to a gig and then it's middle of the night, you may still want to be getting up with you, going to do a set, and then it's just not. That them days are long gone for me.
They're long gone for me, to be fair. I mean, I've DJ'd all over the country, and my wife is not a fan of bounce music.
As is mine.
And so she doesn't accompany me to any of the gigs.
Yeah.
I think she came to a Zombie Nation one once. Travelling a distance is quite stressful because, say you go and do a gig. I live in Warrington, so if I do a gig in Newcastle, it's 3.5 hours trek. Yeah. So I don't really want to be driving back at the same time. Yeah. So I stay over.
Yeah.
So what becomes like just an hour set at a club is a 24-hour
cycle
thing.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot of time out of your life. I know you get paid to compensate for it, but when you're a family man, it's not good. So I mean, I remember Lee S. He was doing. He got into house music. He was doing a lot of remixes, and because of that, he got quite well known throughout Europe and was doing gigs all over Europe, flying out to loads of places, and. The amount of stories he's told of him just sat there in airports waiting for planes to turn up, you know, on his own.
It's not great, is it? It's not as lavish as people think, and it's like, because when they see a DJ, they're out on that stage, DJ, and it's like, wow, I'd love to be there, I'd love to have their life.
Yeah, well,
for that hour. Like,
last night, for example, so I drove to Blackpool, which is only an hour away from here, and I'm not that familiar with the roads in Blackpool, so I said to my daughter, "Are we in the right way here?" She says, "Yeah, turn left here, and then it's a right on that road." So we turn left, went onto the road, or what I thought was the road,
Yeah.
and found out I'm actually on the tram lines,
Oh, great.
and the road's over there.
Yeah.
So that panicked me. But then I'm parking in a car park. I spent 30 quid on petrol. I spent £11 to park my car. I'm there for 6 hours.
Yeah.
And then I'm driving home at 2 o'clock in the morning. Luckily, I had my daughter as company, but if you're doing that on your own every
Yeah.
weekend, and look at like Sir John Neal, who does loads of gigs.
Yeah.
He's back and forth all over the place all
Every
the time.
weekend as well, yeah.
And I think I've done my time in that kind of thing. I don't mind doing local gigs,
Yeah.
but gigs further afield, it has to be something pretty special for me to go out to it now.
For me now, I'm up for gigs anyway. I'll travel all around the world if you like. It's just because you get to meet people. I'm 26 now, so for me,
You're still a pup.
Yeah, it's still a pup. That's what it is, isn't it? It's like, I'm past halfway to 50, but at the same time, I'm always. The pandemic opened my eyes in regards to just. I used to my friends used to ask me and say, "What do you want to do this?" And I'm like, oh, I can't be asked. Like, and it'd be like, "Oh, that was a really good night. Oh, I missed out on that."
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So now, I just say yes to everything. This podcast has only happened because I say yes to everything now.
Yeah.
So someone said to me at work about like when we have crack and you tell what we've been up to at the weekend and I did this gig and he says honestly people would love to hear these stories and I'm like they're not that good. And it's like, and I'm sort of talking it down. I'm like it's not that good. At the end of the day, like I say, you spend all this time driving and that. He's like but some of the stuff that goes on is quite funny and quite like and interesting. He says, and then he's like why not do it? And then I just thought to myself, why not?
Yeah.
Why not do it? Like it's just one of them things now. So with experiences and stuff, if someone offers me a booking now, I say yeah. And well, 90% of the time,
Yeah.
I say yeah, and I make the most of it. So I'll either go there and meet up with people that I know, and if it's a gig where I used to get booked in Telford quite a lot,
Right.
in
Where my
Birmingham.
sister lives.
Is it?
Yeah.
And I didn't know anybody down there. I knew one guy and I used to meet up with him and then we'd just go to the raves and that was it. But now I just take my family with me, so if we go somewhere, like I love playing for Farrell because we go to Blackpool, we spend the day in Blackpool,
Yes. Yeah.
get a hotel, my missus goes in that hotel, I go and play my set and have a crack with everybody there,
Yeah.
You get to have a thing.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're going on the road where you're on the road for 2.5 hours from where I'm from to Blackpool and it's like, do the set, you've got to drive back.
Yeah.
You don't want to leave. Like you leave early from the gig, so you know you're going to get home for a decent time.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've got this drive ahead of me. But whereas now I just embrace it, and I'm like, do you fancy a weekend away in Blackpool? All right, then we'll do that.
Road trip.
Road trip in it,
Yeah.
So that's all I do. There is some gigs where like you've been booked in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like, right, what we'll do is we'll go to it. Then we'll go somewhere near it because I don't want to go to some like where there's nothing to do. But
Well, that's it. I mean,
so but traveling on your own, if you're happy in your own company, then do it. That's my advice.
Yeah. I also on a just slightly different note now is that the amount of things that we've probably both done through our careers and lifetimes. You can't get them all into one podcast, really, can you? Because you remember things later on. You think, oh, I should have said that. I should have said that.
There's a few things I've remembered, sort of buzzwords of what you've said something and it's triggered, and I'm like, oh yeah.
But I just remembered that I actually put at one point I put up on Facebook 10 things you didn't know about me, and I kept it going for a bit actually, and then I stopped it, and then about 3 years later I decided to do it again, and my missus said, "You've already told people all about all those things." I said, "Yeah, but since that 3 years I've had so many more people join up who don't know about that, you know, and there's always like one little gem of something. Like for example, a friend of mine, Lee, he basically wanted to get into production himself and he bought a lot of gear. He did dabble a bit in it but didn't do a lot, but we've been really good mates for years, and he suddenly said to me one day, I've been working with this guy and we've done a tune with Nigel Kennedy, the violinist. And really? For the dance track. So I thought, wow, it's amazing. So he said, yeah, we've been invited down to his gig at the Millennium Dome.
Fantastic.
So I thought, wow. He said, do you want to come? So I said, yeah, why not?
Up, yeah. Road trip.
So we all piled into this car, drove down to Wembley, and sat there watching him in the Millennium Dome do the gig. After it, he invited us all back to his flat on the Thames.
That is amazing. Like, it's, as I said, you just ran. Like, for me now, I've had more interesting stories happen to me since I've started saying yes to things. Than so I've got into some mad situations because I've been a bit unorganised. Where someone have said last minute, "Do you fancy doing this?" And I'm like, "Go on then." And then next minute I'm just sort of you're stuck in a situation.
Yeah,
but it's a fun story to tell later down the line.
Yeah. I mean, there's some of the stories you don't want to tell, and some of the stories you can't wait to tell.
Absolutely. Right, so we're going to finish up here today because I don't want to keep you. But basically, I want to get into ask you this: what is your favourite bounce track that you've produced?
Ooh, I don't know. It's quite difficult. I've got lots of favourites because not only are the remixes, but there's collabs, there's tracks I've done with other people. I think that the one wonderful thing about music is it fits moods and situations. So you might think, for example, I'm into so many different genres that this week I might love trance and go down a trance memory lane. Next week it might be funky house. The week after it might be drum and bass. Same with bounce. Sometimes I'll play something and go, oh God, yeah, I remember this. That was it.
It brings back the memory.
Yeah, exactly. Which once upon a time they were called records, and records are a record of the memory of the time. You know. Yeah. So I don't have a favourite. I have a lot of favourites.
Is the one in particular on your current mood right now on today of the day that it is in 2022 that you just think, you know what, I fancy having to listen to that, or just for a little bit of a...
Well, funny enough, actually, so John G is a massive fan of a track I did in the 90s called Changes by Lockout, my Lockout alias, which lasted a short while.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know that one.
Right, so Lockout was kind of elements of trance, but really more EDM later on. So this track was an original track that I wrote myself and was released on a compilation album.
Right.
And for the last, 25 years, I've been considering remaking it, but never got around to it. So now it's just jogged my memory. I'll get on that this week.
Right, there you go. So there you go. Make sure you check that tune out, and then you'll be able to see what he comes up with, probably by this time tomorrow.
Also, Chance Horizons is my chill out project, and the new single Sunrise came out yesterday, which was Friday the 3rd.
Right.
As a drum and bass remix.
Right.
So that you can get that on all digital stores now, so I thought I'd get that in.
Get that on there. Yeah, anything you want to plug, go for it, mate. Anything you want to plug at all? Have you got any gigs coming up?
Well, the next one now, I'm not sure what the next one is, actually. August, I think the next one is.
Right, okay.
But obviously, the Rebound studio.
Yeah, right. So if you've got some amazing ideas and you just don't know how to get them down, get on to Kenny, and he'll make your imagination into reality. If you've got a track or a vocal that you think I could do something with this, get in touch and get booked in. Kenny's always up for new clients, aren't you?
Definitely. I get new people all the time.
And to finish off, I ask everyone this: you go out for a Chinese meal for one. You're not with the family. You're just on your own.
Yeah.
What are you getting?
Well, I'd rather have an Indian.
Right. Okay.
But if I had to pick, I would probably pick beef in pepper sauce with fried rice.
Right,
that's my.
okay.
I mean, to be honest, I used to go for the typical beef fried rice or special fried rice,
right?
But because they're always dry. But as I've gotten older, my taste buds have changed.
Yeah.
And now I love a curry.
Curry, yeah, excellent. Right, I appreciate you coming on, mate. It's been great. I've loved it. It's good to get a catch up with you.
Yeah, definitely.
The last time we had a sit down conversation was 6 years ago. So yeah, time does fly.
It really does. Yeah,
it does. Thank you for watching. Check Kenny out online. He's got his Rebound SoundCloud page. He's got his website which is Rebound Digital.
Yeah. Rebound.uk.com.
Oh yeah, rebounduk.com. Apologies, but yeah, check it out. It's been an absolute blast. Thank you for coming on, mate.
Thanks for having me.
See you later. Remember, check out his pages. Check out my pages. There you go. Oh, that was great. That. Thank you very much.
No problem.
How did you find it? We went on longer than.